Today I want to talk about a couple of the other whiskey programs that we work with at Wizard Academy and Whiskey Marketing School, and why and how some things are going to change a little bit. I know I talked before about education and why I reached out to those other programs, and that education should be a community instead of this sort of competitive us versus them environment. But I'm going to do that a little differently. I'm Daniel Whittington. I'm the Chancellor at Wizard Academy and Whiskey Marketing School. And I'm actually looking forward to this one too. So, if you don't know, after the school we'd been graduating whiskey sommeliers for about 6 to 7 years, 6 years. And I'm a big fan of several of the other whiskey education programs. Like if you're going like full on degree, there's Institute of Brewing and Distilling, IBD, I think it is, or Distilling, anyway. Harriet Watt, great program. There's some of the colleges that are beginning to build programs. But if you are looking for third-party sort of certification training, I really fell in love with the Edinburgh Whisky Academy and with Moonshine University, who are the same people who built the Stave and Thief Executive Bourbon Steward program. And regularly people reach out to us and say, hey, I'm starting a distillery. I want to take your whiskey somm, and I will say, that's a terrible idea. You should go to Moonshine University and do their 6-day distillers course, because you're going to learn what it takes to start and run and make a functioning distillery. Once you've been open for a couple of years and you're still in business, then come to us and we'll teach you how to market and communicate and carry your story to others. And the same thing was with the Edinburgh Whisky Academy. What they were doing is something we're not trying to accomplish, which is a very nuts and bolts, practical, encyclopedia-like knowledge of the infrastructure, production process, and impact of the Scottish whiskey industry. And then they expanded into gin and Ireland, and now, probably as of releasing this video, we're like days, if not weeks, if not days away from them releasing their American single malt certification, where they came to America and worked with a whole bunch of American single malt distilleries and the American Single Malt Commission to build a certification course. They're doing a great job at that level of education. No one's doing what we're doing, which is a heavy focus on marketing, communications, brain science, advertising, writing, and learning your markers for communicating what you know and what you are passionate about to the world. And because of that, I wanted to partner with these guys to sort of bring them into our community and provide another resource for our somms. When we first partnered with them, we were the first off-site location to host the Stave and Thief Executive Bourbon Steward Program. They're working on doing that in other places now. I think they have. And I think they're looking to spread that program so that you can get not just the Bourbon Steward certification, but the Executive Bourbon Steward certification, other places than just Louisville, but we're one of them. And we were one of the handful of people who can do the certifications for the Edinburgh Whisky Academy. And I keep pointing over here because the classroom is right here. And in my head, that's what I'm thinking about when I'm saying teaching. And also I have 2 flags with their logos hanging on the wall over here. So I keep looking at them and thinking, you can't see that. So we held our first few. There was almost entirely sommeliers, and we had a great time. We had some outsiders who got introduced to the school through that program. And this year, we considered hosting some of the new things for the Edinburgh Whisky Academy, like their sensory training and the Executive Bourbon Steward program again here. And we put it up, and we sort of announced it in the very few places that we can talk about it. And we had very few signups this time. And I realized something really important, and it's changing how we are going to talk about those programs here at Wizard Academy, all in a positive way. Also, just so you know, we're doing construction on the property. It's on the other side of the tower, and they're cutting through bedrock. So you might hear that in the background of my microphone. There's nothing I can do about that. All right, this is Barrell Craft Spirits, and this is their Barrell Vintage, and it's a blend of various straight bourbons. Now, what they do is they have been taking different bourbons that they sourced. These are coming from Indiana, Tennessee, and Kentucky. And then they are finishing these in all these various casks and then blending them together to create this product. I've really loved the various blends that Barrell has done. I don't know what their process is for blending, but the outcome is really great. I like their blends far more than I like their individual, just a finished bourbon releases, and those are also good. But I just think where they really land in a magical space is in their blending habits. And so I was excited to get to see them, this one. This is Justin Boyer, is the one who gave us this bottle, so thank you, Justin. And this was Mizunara oak, French oak, and toasted American oak. So they took all these various whiskeys, they moved them into finishing casks in a way that they felt would develop and accent each of those different sourced bourbons. And then they blended all of that together at the end to create Vantage. So when I heard about this, I really wanted to try it. So here we are. Ooh, okay. So my first instant reaction is a salt air bourbon. Like a classic bourbon, but you're smelling it on the seaside. Which is a very weird experience. And especially when I'm sitting here smelling, you're definitely going to hear the of cutting into stone, of just so you know. Oh, hey, there's an almost spearmint note that immediately gets surrounded with green apple. And then it sort of shifts gears into a candy apple. And overall, everything feels kind of light and sparkly and refreshing almost, which is why I say the sea air, like the bright, open, yeah. Or like when you get up into the mountains and the air gets thin, but it still has a lot of aromatics from the trees and the woods. Interesting. The palate does not disappoint. It's sweeter than probably what I would normally choose. Ooh, hey, it just went slightly licorice and cinnamon spice all of a sudden, right at the very end. This little whoop, the finish went all spicy candy. Huh. Okay, there's the oak. Now I'm getting some more of the oak tannin and the barrel profile in the mid palate. But it really does this thing where it just goes dead narrow and then sort of floods out into the mid palate and then sort of vanishes like watching fireworks dissipate in the sky, like whoosh. And what's left is spicy sweetness. Interesting. I'm going to add a little water. It is definitely sweeter than I would pour if I was just going to sip on a bourbon. Maybe a little bit of water will open that up. Oh, that helped. A little bit of water softened the sweetness into not being so dense and cloying and to be a little bit softer, and then it allowed the barrel tannins to sort of push up a little bit. So I like this with a dash of water. I mean, it's 56.77%, so it's a little hot. A little water, no harm, no foul. Probably brought it down to 50 just now. And that's a nice sweet spot for me. Okay, so I'm telling you this one because I'm kind of pulling back the curtain a little bit on how we do things here at for the Whiskey Marketing School. And I realized I don't really have a great way to talk to you guys directly about the things that we're doing. And because this new, where I'm just telling stories, I really like for them to be their own encapsulated story. And the worst thing in a sit-down story is for someone to stop partway and be like, hey, also come to our school, buy this, sign up for this thing. Anyway, back to the story. And so I've avoided that. But this is one of the only ways that I can reach whiskey people who might be interested in the classes that we're holding. And so I don't know how to balance that. I'm still thinking about it because I also don't want to mess with the stories. But I might start talking about it a little bit more. And what happened was we announced the first time we ever did all the EWA course here, and we did the single malt diploma. They flew in from Scotland. That was amazing. We did the Stave and Thief Executive Bourbon a couple times. Every time it sold out with our existing whiskey sommeliers, or not sold out, but filled up with our existing whiskey sommeliers. And then we brought in 2, 3, 4 outsiders maybe. And all we did was send an email out to our somms, and I put it on Instagram. And that's pretty much it. We sent an email out to maybe some of the Texas whiskey community people. I think one time I talked about it in the Whiskey Tribe Facebook group, and that brought some people in. But I don't really have a venue anymore. So when we announced it this last time, I think we've maxed out the somms that want to expand into those programs here in Austin. And but we have no way to talk to outside whiskey people except this channel. And so I put it on Instagram, and that brought in a couple of people, and that was nice. And we sent an email out to the Texas whiskey fans and things like that. That brought in a couple of people. That was a good thing. But 2 things are going to change. One, I will probably periodically start talking about our whiskey programs as we hold them on this channel, just to let you know they're coming up. Like there's a Whiskey 1 coming up, I think in November, and so you'll hear me talk about that a little bit later this year. But right now, we're about to hold a couple of whiskey programs. We're gonna do the Edinburgh Whisky Academy Sensory class, which is a 2-day sensory training, and we're gonna do the Executive Bourbon Steward program here with options, 1-day class, with options for not staying on campus or staying on campus. And I forgot to write down those dates. Hang on a second. Okay, so Monday, July 29th is the Executive Bourbon Steward program. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, July 30, 31 is the Edinburgh Whisky Academy Sensory Training. And if you want to take all 3, you can sign up and stay on campus for those 3 days. If you just want to take one of them, you can. In the future, what we've decided is that we want the classes that we hold here that aren't whiskey marketing school to primarily be held as an additional resource we provide to our own whiskey sommelier graduates. And so we're going to be focused on only holding these classes when there's enough of our existing whiskey somms who want to do it to make it worth it for us to do it. But then we will also, once we've told our somms and allowed them to sign up, also make it available to the general public. So you're going to hear about these kinds of classes maybe less often. We may only hold them 1 or 2 times a year, but I will probably tell you about it here after we have told the somms and given them the chance to sign up first. So I think for us, this is a good reminder to refocus on the primary identity that we have, which is to serve the whiskey somms and then to help create adventure for you guys and the YouTube community. And I'm not going to create a Facebook group for the vault. For how long has it been now? 8 months, 9 months since the tribe and vault sort of created their separate worlds. And I've struggled with the idea of being able to talk to you guys on a more informal way in some kind of online community. But there's no version of me being able to do that that doesn't introduce a schism into the Facebook world and starts forcing people to choose which online community they want to be in and prefer. And I just don't want to be a part of something like that. And so it limits how I can talk to you. I like the Q&As. We're going to do another one soon. I like the live streams. We're going to do it on the next dry week. But that's just how it's going to be. So I'm going to need to be able to talk to you more on this YouTube channel. And that'll be it. And I'll keep responding in the comments if you have questions. I'll keep using your questions to motivate and create content for video. And that's how that's going to be. With a little bit of water and a little bit of time, this really opens up into floral, spicy, almost chocolate direction. Like horchata, or a cinnamon milk, right? And then the palate gets a little more spicy and a little more oaky. This is a really, really great blend. I really like it. And I'm really glad you're here. Cheers to you. Okay, I don't have a Facebook group, so if you want to keep up with everything we're doing, I'm only going to talk about it here, which means like and subscribe if you want to stay updated on what's happening.